me when I see youngsters working with youngsters because it's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
disaster waiting to happen.
What
But
I tend to find is youngsters working with youngsters, especially if the youngster is like naturally gifted
yes,
and finds a good amount of success relatively quickly. Not that they don't work for it, but like if your total jumps 100, 200 kilos in a year, I don't care how
yes,
hard you worked, you're naturally inclined for the sport.
100%.
I find those people tend to get a sort of arrogance about them sooner than they deserve.
Eddie,
Sup, brother Bear? How you doing?
good on you, Ed.
Good, good. How's the day?
Huh? Ed, I was at the office today, so hence I'm a bit late.
It's
Sorry,
all
lady.
good.
I know we said four, but hey, can't control these things sometimes.
You know how there's Cape Town traffic and all that bullshit.
At least you kind of familiar with what we have to deal with this side.
It's actually like being in Joburg just now, and then being in Cape Town as much as I was last year. I'm like, I appreciate PE's traffic. Like
Thank you.
bumper to bumper deadlock, you'll still get there in an hour.
No, not here, not here. 3 hours.
That is you know what's hilarious to me about traffic like that is it will take you'll be stuck in traffic for like 2 3 hours,
Ah,
but like I feel like the dude who leaves, let's say traffic starts to peak around 5, the dude who leaves at
mhm.
6 isn't in traffic for 2 or 3 hours.
That
He's not.
hurts, man. That
And
hurts.
I'm like, I
That
don't
hurts.
know. It almost doesn't make it's almost counterintuitive how the traffic works.
Uh, no, it hurts. I know what you're talking about.
Or like I've always imagined there's probably the dude who's gonna leave like you'll leave at 5, he'll
Ah,
leave at 6:30, and you guys will get to your destination at the same time.
it's similar to, those guys will overtake you.
Yeah.
And then you guys get to the robot at the same time.
And I'm like, what are you gonna do with the 3 seconds you
What,
saved, my guy? That whole
what is
three
the
seconds
purpose
that
of
you're
all
so
of
proud
this?
of. What are you gonna do with it?
Weirdest thing ever.
Dude. The Arnolds of this past weekend. A lot of people have
Yes.
some. I've seen a lot of comments and questions and blah 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 on it. How'd you
Mhm.
feel about it? For looking from the outside in.
Outside in, it was a good comp. I think it showed, I think, especially obviously Carlton's performance. That's the first thing you have to acknowledge. That 10:52, 22 years old, under 110. That's exceptional.
That is
That's exceptional.
insane,
Yeah.
insane.
So, and also looking at other performances, what I liked about this comp was that it wasn't okay. Obviously, Carlton was like there was Carlton, but even the rest of the field was fairly competitive. Yeah. So, a lot of progress. The other day we were talking about Morgan, your athlete.
Yeah, yeah,
Looking at what he, I think the other guy you're talking about is the other guy you're coaching is Chris, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah. Looking at what they did, the progress, what the guys, Morgan pulled what 300, like it was nothing. So
Yeah, all his thirds look like a joke, and there's Morgan definitely got a little bit more in him, which I'm quite excited about.
you get what I'm saying. So to see that on a platform in that sort of stage is a very good thing. It's encouraging, and I think for us as South Africans, we have a lot to look forward to in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years. You know.
On that, I've been hearing a lot of talk about
Mhm.
how what was the exact way it was worded on a related tangent.
Mhm.
Um, it was more around like how many world records were broken on the day, which was a shit ton. It was a shit ton. I think it's has something to do with the newer tested federation and blah 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 blah.
Okay.
But there was a lot of world records on the day, and a lot of people, a decent number of people, feel like um, federational world records almost don't count. They're not a big deal. What's your opinion on that?
Federational world records don't count.
In the sense that this world record is different to another federation's world record, is different to IBF's world record. So if you're not actually the best in the world, your world record doesn't matter unless it's an all-time world record. Well, that was the basic gist of the opinion.
For me, when coming to world records, man, whether it's all-time or it's federational, that's a different level. It's not like a national record. Yeah, I think world record, even if it's in a specific, it's just a federation, it needs to be recognized and respected. Anyone who holds an opinion alternative to that, I'm not too bothered by, because there aren't a lot of world record holders in all federations. So to achieve a world record in a specific federation is an accomplishment in and of itself. So I don't discredit national records. I feel a bit different about, especially local records and stuff. I'm like, but world record is something else. I don't want to lie, but national records, I'm like, okay.
my whole thing is they are what they are. I mean, like, if you now have a world record and you think you're the shit and you're the best thing to happen to powerlifting since Ed Cohn, different story. Like, there are levels to this stuff. But it's not nothing. I mean, it's out of everyone in the globe who participates in this federation, you're the top dog for your specific whatever. That doesn't mean you're the alpha of powerlifting suddenly, but it's progressive. It's a step towards direction. It is what it is.
It should be celebrated and acknowledged. Yes, as you said, it's not as, let's say it's a tiered type of thing, and you have an all-time world record, right?
Top tier.
And I think second to that, you'll have the federational world record and everything else. So those are the top two that I think if someone has a world record within a federation, that counts for something. Now, if you have an all-time world record, then you are blessed.
Yeah. Then listen, and then you're like, if you're Colton now, like, you're officially the top dog for your category and position. You're the top dog globally, which is fucking impressive, and that should be celebrated as such. 100%. But like, but like, if you're a second class of top dog, it's like, to me, powerlifting is not big enough to be that elitist about it.
That's my point. That's why for someone to say because it's a world record within a federation, it doesn't count. The sport is not big enough for us to have that sort of mindset. It's okay. So now everyone needs to have it's not going to happen. World records and federations count.
There's levels to this thing, but like, my whole thing is, and the reason why I'm not very elitist when it comes to powerlifting, particularly when it comes to powerlifting in South Africa, is let me share my screen here. Let me highlight what my point actually is. Can you see this?
Yep.
The open powerlifting. This is all South African lifters. Needs to be updated after this past weekend, but you got Colton, you got Nicholas, Kurt. It's all good. It's all good. If you scroll to the very fucking bottom of this list, give it a second to load. There have been 1,869 people who have competed in powerlifting in the history of powerlifting in this country.
No, I get what you're saying.
And so, like, to be elitist about a sport that less than 2,000 people have done.
Yeah, no.
The best possible thing that could happen to SA powerlifting is if 20,000 people suddenly out of the blue joined in. Even if they're newbies, even if they suck, the best possible thing for the sport long term is if just numbers poured into it.
Do you think looking at like the country, especially in South Africa, that is something plausible? For us to see, let's not even say 20, let's say 10,000. If you have 10,000 athletes on the list on open powerlifting.
Yeah. Is it plausible? We're heading in that direction. How long it's going to take is the debate. It's probably going to take a fucking long time. but we're going there. I mean, I think last I checked this list, at one point it was like 1,005. It's like grown since I've been paying attention to it. So we're heading there. Granted, this also doesn't take into consideration smaller local meets, because that would, because not everyone submits their meet results into open powerlifting and such. So this is arguably larger provincial meets and bigger.
What would you say? So you say what, 2.5? That would be the number, or let's say what?
Somewhere there. Call it 2.5. Which I mean is focal, man. They're more high schoolers in a province playing rugby than they are people who have powerlifted in this country.
Yes. But now, how do we make the sports more, or this discipline more appealing? Or is it something that can be made to be more appealing?
See, that's the thing with powerlifting. I think for me, its appeal is in doing it. It's not a very spectator-friendly sport. You're not going to watch it and like, ooh, I want to try that.
But now, that in and of itself means that it's going to be difficult for it to draw in a lot of people. Because unlike your rugby or unlike your soccer, where it's more of a spectator type of thing, yeah, so
I think of powerlifting in the same vein. I think of golf. Golf is a boring spectator sport, but the right people and just enough of the right people play it, and now it's popular. Let's be honest, that's a boring fucking sport. But playing it is fun. Playing it is fun. The people who tend to play it tend to be a little bit more moneyed, so they're the right people.
Yeah.
They're the ones who can pour millions of rands into it.
It's similar to F1 for me. I don't understand F1. I think it's just weird. It's when they overtake, they get fined or whatever. And it's like, okay, what's the aim of this whole thing? But as you said, enough of the right people are part of it, all following it. So it's become popular because of that. So that's a different way. It's a nice way of thinking about it. But now, do you think, again, let's say look at golf, there's somewhat of an elitist appeal to it. So I think that's what's drawing in now. Does powerlifting, thinking about powerlifting, does it have that sort of appeal to it? The singlets, it's
a bit of a meathead sort of. No one looks at powerlifting and be like, yes, the prestigious of all sports. You are the pinnacle of society.
So is it one of those things that will always just be a what's this, for lack of a better word, a hobby?
Yeah. My whole thing is, the more people who do it, the more people who are going to be advocates for it, and they're going to get their friends and family to at least pay attention to it happening. And like I said, if you could get 20,000 South Africans to participate in the sport, even if only a quarter of them stay long term, that is meaningful for the popularity of the sport in the country. If it gets a little bit more popular, we can get a little bit more funding, sponsorships get a little bit better, maybe prize money starts to become a thing. That inherently draws more people. It's a numbers game. You have to get people into the sport.
Is this something that's taken into consideration by federations? Federations have a department or a specific person who deals with, let's call it the outreach executive in the specific federation, who deals with specifically getting the sport out there, or how can we build or get more people into the sport?
I don't at the very top down, I don't think those structures exist. I think in little pockets of different like gyms and different like provincial things, maybe. But I don't think it's a unified structural top-down design.
But wouldn't it be beneficial though, if, as you mentioned, in the broader scheme of things, if we bring in more people, even the existing athletes gain more. The top guys gain more because now prize money becomes a thing. Sponsorships might become a thing in the long run. So it's to a federation's benefit to actually have somewhat of an outreach type of branch.
It was part of the reason why I wasn't mad at the Arnolds for opening it up for mass participation. They could have been a little bit better about the execution. Granted, the execution left a lot lacking there. But like, I was like, listen, from a pure numbers game, if we have 200, 300 people all competing at the same time, them bringing their friends and family to the event, longevity of the sport wise, that's a bloody good thing.
Makes
It
sense.
maybe waters down the Arnolds for this year, but if that means Arnold's 2024 has 200 people who qualified on merit, how often does that happen?
Okay. No, I get what you say. I get your argument now in terms of that. In that scenario, it makes sense. I also support it, and I think overall, they made the right decision. Initially, I might have had my reservations about it, but they made the right decision. As you said, maybe execution. I watched the live stream. From what I could see, it looked like everything went smoothly. Weren't a lot of hiccups from what I saw. The spotters were good. Everything ran smoothly. So for what they did, and I also saw in the group they faced some challenges days before that. So for them to still pull off what they did, we must applaud them. We must really applaud them.
After hearing a little bit of the story, they were basically told last minute, hey, we're offering this to you. You got 2 days to sort of accept a decline. And it's like, well, shit. We have, I think at the time it was something like 2 months, 2.5 months to go from nothing to a whole meet organized. So granted, could they have done a better job? Obviously, of course. But I don't think I could have done a better job, so I'm not going to criticize too much. You know, like anyone who else knows I hate the organizational side of powerlifting. The whole organizing meets thing is just not my favorite thing to do.
That. Yes.
So I'm slow to criticize other people for not getting it perfectly because I'm like I hate that side of the job. So, but yeah, like on the day it went smooth. The warm up area was like it was outside intense. It was never going to be perfect, and I think on the day, everything wrong with it was because it was outside intense.
Yes.
But everything else about the vibe, the refs, the equipment, they did the best they could. I can't, from that aspect of things, I can't really complain too much.
That's good to hear. I think it's exciting in terms of when you think about next year, what might happen next year. Now when we think WPC Nationals next year, what now? Everyone wants to be now part of that. So it's exciting in that sense. Also now we're looking at the top 3 guys. We're looking at Carlton and Kurt and Nicholas, and we look what's going to happen now. Who's pulling the next move? What's Nicholas going to do?
I don't think it's going to happen. But I would fucking love to see those 3 Oaks compete at the same time. Just going, I'd fucking love that. That would be amazing.
Please, that would be something. I think if Elite Raw can pull that off, get Carlton, Nicholas, and Kurt on the same platform,
1,000K podium,
man, that would be a spectacle. Ed.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Everyone in this sport who loves the sport would want to be present for that. And then when the female side, you get Rowan, you get Danielle, and you get the other Danielle to be present. You get what I'm saying? It spectacle.
I'm saying there's 2 sides to this. So on the one hand, to grow powerlifting, you need mass participation, but also these top class world leading athletes also, like those 2 together is really like. And I think we're getting to the point. I've been on record saying that we're getting to the point where these magical performances are going to start becoming more and more frequent.
Yes.
Like the 4-minute mile. As soon as one person does it, it's like, okay, this is possible. The next does it. The next does it. Colton being an under 110s to do it. There are maybe 2 or 3 other names in SA powerlifting who are capable of it currently in the next year or 2. Present company included. So I think if I had to make a bet, my money would be on you to do it. Actually,
I'm not getting involved in that, Ed. This is not about me. I'm not getting involved in that. I think, look, exciting times ahead, Ed. And I think what this does also is that it takes us away from the drama of the federations. We've been who involved in this federation did this, that federation did this. Now we're just excited to see people compete, which this is what the sport is about at the end of the day. So it's really taken us back to grassroots, what the sport is about.
Mm.
And
Exactly.
and for me, now what I'm looking at personally is I'm looking at Nicholas totaling that 1,100. I think he's competing when close to towards the end of the year.
Towards the end of the year, yeah.
So yesterday he did a 250 Lawson press.
Jesus.
You get what I'm saying? What could possibly stop him? I
feel like Colton took the lead now, but I feel like Nicholas is working. He's putting it together. He's waiting for the right meet at the right time, and he's going to pull off something fucking stupendous. Like, it's going to be magical.
And he pulled 390 from a deficit, and I think it was beltless also.
The beltless, yeah.
So that right now it's one of those things where if it doesn't, he's the only one who can stop himself from not totaling 1,100. Things would have to go ridiculously bad for him not to be able to do that. And now we have I think Colton is number one, junior in the world. Imagine on Nicholas being the top guy in the under 125 class in the world.
Puts us on the map there. Puts us on the map there. A little bit of international recognition is going to go a long way.
So another thing that I'm personally happy about is the lower numbers, the 600s moved into the 700s. The 700s moved to the 750s and 770s and 800s. And then, for instance, yourself, you went from the 870 to 885. You could have easily totaled 900, but obviously some things on the day, you were also coaching and you were doing a lot on the day. So to just total that 885 is already a massive accomplishment. But you get what I'm saying? People, we're moving. It's not, the guys are not coming in and then moving from 700 to 710. Guys are coming in moving from 700 to 745, 750. And you're like, whoa. So
yeah, it's a time thing now. It's just a matter of time, and suddenly that the top 12 list gets a complete new makeover, a complete new shakeup.
I give it 2 years. I give it 2 years. And the more, for instance, Morgan trains at Zone Fitness. He's now pulled 300. More people in Zone Fitness are going to see him. What do you do? I'm a powerlifter. They come into powerlifting. You got to say more of these guys who are in public gyms are starting to do bigger numbers, are starting to pull more attention. That brings more people into powerlifting. So all in all, man, I think this has been a great what's the word? Advertisement for powerlifting.
Yes.
So
on similar lines, we've got a couple questions from the STS following. Who was your favorite male and female powerlifter from the weekend?
Male. Actually, I don't want to say this. No, I'm not going to say you. I'm going to say Colton. There we go. Colton was my favorite.
I'll gladly take second to Colton any day. It's fine.
Again, I think for me, his overall performance, and Colton looks like he doesn't struggle, which is a very weird thing to see.
He's a fucking forklift, man. Whether it's an empty bar or it's 415, it looks exactly the fucking same.
Ridiculous, but it doesn't make sense. Like, you look at him and it's like he doesn't struggle. He just goes through the motions, picks the bar up, or stands up out of the hole or from the squat, and then that's it.
Easy, smooth, barely inconvenience.
It's ridiculous. And then I think female Nicole did very well. I think that world record squat, exceptional performance from her. I think also she's going to do some big things. She's one to look out for also. People aren't really paying attention to her, and she's doing things. She's doing things.
We'll be working our asses off. I'll tell you one thing. What I loved about her, because it was between her and Shanae.
Yes.
And they were going back and fucking forth. Shanae would set the world record. Nicole would take it at the last grip. Shanae puts a national record up. Nicole beats it on her attempt. Shanae takes it back. The win that Nicole pulled off literally came down to whoever gets your last deadlift gets to win. And I'm like, that's
That's what we
fucking
like to see.
powerlifting. That's
That's what we
exciting.
like to see. And that's it. That's it. That's it. That's what we love to see. So, female powerlifting also in the country is just becoming ridiculous, man. There are some monsters out there. Yeah.
Well, I'd say my favorite female powerlifter was actually another one of my athletes, Kim Holgreen. Now, Kim has been powerlifting for maybe 5-6 years, like for almost as long as I have, maybe about as long as I have.
Mm-hmm.
But you could not have gotten her to squat or deadlift to save her life. Fucking hated it, wasn't comfortable, didn't like it. She always had a massive bench on her, but to
Okay.
get her to squat and forget it. Like she fucking had a mental block about it. And we've been friends for years. I finally got her into it. Before this year started, she had never squatted more than 100 kilos. And she had never deadlifted maybe more than 130, 140.
Jeez.
This girl got a 170 squat in her third, just missed it on depth because she fell forward, but got it up. Got a 202 on deads and a freaking 130 bench. And I'm like,
yeah.
She went from fucking nowhere to I think she's top 2 or top 3, highest top 2, top 3 in the country now.
And
I'm like, that is fucking insane. That is insane.
Things are getting exciting. Things are getting really, really, really exciting. It's a good time. It's a good time. And for me, I just really hope this momentum can be kept in some way. Like I hope it's not dispersed. Something happens where it just becomes petty again. Let's just keep moving the bar. Let's just keep moving the bar on weights. That's all we want. We don't want the other stuff. Just give me a bar and just give me weights. That's what we saw at Arnolds is really what I think. I think the video that Rowan shared where you attempted the 377.
Yeah.
The energy in that video, it
was a good vibe, man. It was a good vibe.
The vibe.
That was fucking, it was something stupid like, what time was it? Maybe like 5:36-ish at night, somewhere in that ballpark, maybe a little bit earlier. Our tent was full, guy. Like it was a full crowd on a Sunday. And I'm like, wow, the vibe in here is amazing. Like there's a crowd, people are excited, they're staying here the whole fucking day. The tent was never empty the whole weekend. And I'm like, it's this kind of popularity we need, man.
That's coming along. It's coming along. I initially had my reservations about how obviously we spoke the last time about having it open, but in hindsight, they made the right decision. Just next year. Now I'm just honestly excited about next year, and then the rest of the comps throughout the year. I think we have Elite Draw coming up towards the end of the year. And then we also have RPC Nationals coming up. There's Iron Gladiators also.
Always a good one.
So I think we're going to see some interesting things this year. There are guys who are still working, who want to do something special. So we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Yeah.
You know who was also super impressive? Got a question here about Matthew Jimenez. Kid is what, 17, I want to say. Freaking pulled the 300 or something in that ballpark, maybe a little bit more. The question here is asking, like, is he natural?
According to my understanding, he is.
I would hope so. At 17, I'd hope he's still natural. And at his body frame, his size, he's definitely built to be that strong. So I wouldn't immediately count him out as not being natural.
I think
if he is natural, that is fucking impressive. Like his trajectory is amazing.
He's one for the future.
The only thing I worry about the guys who see success too early, too quickly. I worry about them burning themselves out.
Ooh, especially in this day and age. But he's under the stewardship of Nicholas, so I think that will keep him grounded. You know, it's always good to have someone who's significantly better than you guys in the game. It's always a good thing because it keeps you in check in some way. Because you know that, okay, he knows what he's talking about. So you relax when he says, let's pull back a bit. So I think
comes with that authority. Comes with that authority.
Yes. So that's why even with us, I was like, until he out-totals me, then I'll work with him. Before then, never. Never. So now that you've done that, we can work now. We can work. But
Now we can work together. If everyone who don't know,
yes, yes,
Sipo's
yes.
ass
No.
is mine now, which is exciting.
Don't ever say that again.
And
Anyways,
now, this is brilliant too. Because now
yeah.
when you do beat me, I'm not even gonna feel some type of way. I'm like, I helped him do it, fucker. That is my victory
No,
too.
you know that it's bound to happen. You just now get to be part of the party. You get to be
This is
part
how I live my life. Where I can't win, I just worm myself into it and be like, I was part of this too.
no, no, it's I'm excited actually about what we're going what we've planned on doing, what we've spoken about. Um yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited, especially for at least I get to compete this year. That's one thing I'm excited about. And then
You know, we both.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We still have a few things we need to iron out, but we've spoken about the major things here. But the question was regarding Matthew. I think Matthew, one for the future. One for the
Yeah.
future under the leadership.
Also, what's his name now? Fuck, I'm gonna butcher his name. Keegan something. He's also one of Nicholas's athletes. Glasses, blonde hair.
Yes.
What's his last name? Shit.
I see who you're talking about. I see you talking about. I
The kid's
follow him
fucking
on
strong, eh? Yes, that is.
he has some young stallions in his stable. So I'm just happy that he has youngsters who are under his tutelage because he'll be able to guide them correctly. You know, it's I always want to see youngsters working with someone more matured, who knows more, and who's been there, who can guide them correctly. It worries me when I see youngsters working with youngsters because it's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
disaster waiting to happen.
What
But
I tend to find is youngsters working with youngsters, especially if the youngster is like naturally gifted
yes,
and finds a good amount of success relatively quickly. Not that they don't work for it, but like if your total jumps 100, 200 kilos in a year, I don't care how
yeah,
hard you worked, you're naturally inclined for the sport.
100%.
I find those people tend to get a sort of arrogance about them sooner than they deserve. Like a sort of
And
like,
they
oh,
burn
I
out.
know everything already. I'm like, you've been doing this 2 years. Calm the fuck down.
It's I think it's the what's the word? It's the ignorance of youth that
Ignorance of youth. That's a very good way of putting it.
that also enables them to get to have that sort of mindset because they think because they're better than their friends now that there's something special. Yeah. So again, for someone like that, they'll have to learn the hard way. You can, especially a young 19, 18, 20-year-old, you cannot tell them anything. They have to learn the hard way. That's the only
Especially when
way they'll.
everything's going perfectly for them right now. It's like you can't be like, listen, it might not always be this way. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I
you
squat
just
more than you do anyway. Shut the fuck up.
yeah. Now you have to wait for them to. You have to wait for it to go south. Then you can come in and have a conversation with them because now they've been humbled. Now they understand what it's really about. Then we can have a conversation. But whilst they're still on that high, just watch them. Just watch them.
And I'm the guy that goes like, I'm not a very confrontational person. I'm like, I see what's happening. I genuinely hope it actually never goes wrong for you because if this trajectory continues, you're going to be fucking amazing. But I'm like, your level of experience and your level of confidence don't match up quite yet.
That's why for me, I'm the opposite. But I'm similar in the sense that I don't say anything. I just watch. But I hope it goes wrong for their own sake. I hope it goes on so for their own sake, so that they can because it's dangerous if someone who's that young has this trajectory because for them to get better, they're going to want to add other things to that. And then they're going to do that without the correct protocol. Then it turns into a wasteland. So I hope it goes wrong so that they can recollect their thoughts, sit down, engage with someone who's more knowledgeable, who can guide them down the right way. These youngsters who are going crazy now, they must at some point in time relax a little bit. Life must happen so that they can reach a normal equilibrium, and then we can
Equilibrium.
start again. Yes.
It's the nature of the sport, though. I feel like powerlifting is a very ego-driven sport, and the more successful you are at it, the more ego creeps into it.
But I disagree, Ed. I don't think powerlifting, when I joined powerlifting, there wasn't a lot of ego. I was introduced to powerlifting by Reese van Skalkwyk.
Yeah.
And at the time, Reese was one of the top guys in the Western Cape. I still believe that if Reese had stayed, he could have been one of the guys who we're talking about totaling 1,000.
He
But
could
he
have,
chose to
yeah,
go.
definitely.
He had the potential, still has the potential if he one day chooses to come back, you know. But he's now doing his thing in bodybuilding, he's doing very well for himself. We're happy. But when he introduced me to powerlifting, it wasn't ego. It was, hey, you want to be, let me put you in contact with this person. Put me in contact with Andre. No ego. So I got into powerlifting and met people who were significantly better than me, but didn't act like it. You get what I'm saying?
But you know what it is? I had conversations like this at the Arnolds, actually. It's the very top dogs, the people at the very top, super humble. They don't have a harsh opinion about anything. They understand things are gray in the middle. There's black, there's white, there's gray. Very humble. And then the people at the very bottom, also humble, because they're like, listen, I'm shit. I'm not good at this yet. It's the ones at the middle.
I call them marginal talent.
The ones in the middle who are like, those are the most ego-driven, most opinionated, most loudest voice in the room people in the sport. Those ones in the middle.
And you always, actually, I was looking at Carlton, when Kings of Lifts, that page, reposted Carlton's performance. And I was looking at all the naysayers, and I just went through their profiles. And I was like, you want, okay. So what you're saying is actually true, that the middle is always an issue.
The Oaks who can bench like 130 to 160 in that ballpark. They can squat past 200. They may be deadlifting in the 280s. So they think like, oh, I'm the shit now. It's those guys right there who have the most to say.
And I think now that they're getting a lot of attention, and that's causing this. Because I was talking to Daniel Erasmus and I were having a conversation. I'm not too sure if I said this to him, that the vibe in powerlifting has changed for me. And I think I mentioned this to you also, that the vibe has really changed. It's, you get to a meet or something and it just feels cold. It's like there's that crew there, and it might be different that side, but what I found here is that you know, when you walk into a powerlifting meet, you'd meet this person, but now it's like, okay, those guys, okay, those guys, okay. I'm just gonna sit here and be awkward.
I don't know if it's maybe a federational thing, or I've been in the sport long enough that I know a lot of people, at least a little bit. But like at the Arnolds now, I personally didn't get that vibe. Like I was able to interact with everyone.
Arnolds looked like a vibe. Looked like it was quite enjoyable.
No, it was. I met a couple people. I had conversations with people I've never met before. It was a lack of vibe. So I can imagine what you're talking about. I have not experienced it myself recently, but I have seen it before, but I haven't experienced it recently.
No, I've experienced it a couple of times in the past 2 years, and it's concerning, especially when you look at the youngsters coming in who are new to the sport and walking into this environment that has now become a lion's den. You get what I'm saying? As much as we're pulling guys in, guys are coming in, but now they come to these comps and then it feels, who's this? Oh, don't talk to me. It's very weird. Now it's odd for me, and it's very odd. I might be slightly overthinking things, you know, but that's what I've picked up, and it's something that I think is not necessary.
No, it's bad for the sport, man. Like no one likes it. No one likes clicks. This isn't high school.
That's what it has a very high schoolish feeling. If those people don't like you, you're not part of this now. It's like, what?
I think I don't know. Like I haven't experienced it lately, but I have seen it in small pockets every now and again, and it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing for those type of cliques to start forming. Okay, let me look for a good question here. Could you please explain to a newbie lifter what federation do you have to qualify for Arnold's? I wanted to compete in the SAIPF, but the price barrier is a little bit too steep. I was wondering what federations could one look at as alternatives. Thanks, love the podcast. Thank you, sir, or ma'am. I don't want to assume your gender.
That's your area of expertise there, Ed.
Well, if let's say let's be honest, the SAIPF is the most expensive federation to be a part of, not just from a entry fees and form, but also the equipment. It's because IPF is trying really hard to globalize powerlifting.
By making it more expensive.
I'm trying hard to like try and see their side. I don't know why they're so expensive, dog. They're crack expensive. Their equipment is the most expensive. They're relatively so. Their competitions are a crap ton more expensive. You can see the money they put in though. Their competitions tend to look a little bit more polished, a little bit more prestigious. Their organization in terms of time, like their squads and loaders are quick as shit.
Ed, a little bit more. That amount of money not a little bit more. There can't be a little bit more for that amount of money.
It's a lot more money, and it looks a little bit more polished.
That's my thing. I understand on the bigger stages, the worlds and all of that. Yeah. Those guys aren't to pay that much money, but on a local stage, and there's so many people who want to compete in the SAIPF, whatever it's called. But that price thing, I've heard this before so many times that I can't afford to compete there.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. And my thing though, I don't know about you, but powerlifting to me is a very rough, rugged alpha sport.
Yes.
I don't actually want it to be too polished. It makes it look, I don't know, too clean for me.
Yeah, for me, no. The competitions are very. Oh, now this guy's coming up to the platform. Okay.
Yes.
Good lift.
Good lift. Yes. Lovely.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to. Look, I don't.
With your copyright-free music in the background.
I can't. I wouldn't be able to do it. Personally, I'm not the type of person, but I feed off the environment.
Yeah, same. I like a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more edge to my environment when I'm competing.
But people have the reasons for competing with them, but I just think it's, especially in a third world country, it's quite unrealistic to have these exorbitant price. I think they also have an affiliation fee or something.
They have an affiliation fee, which isn't super cheap, and then their competition fees are also some of the highest. I think there was like a bench only meet they did here, and I think the entry fee was like $500 for a bench only, and I'm like, dog. I think their normal thing for a local meet is like $650, somewhere in that ballpark.
And aren't you restricted from going to other comps if you're part of them?
Yeah, if you're part of them, you're part of them. You get banned if you're in any other feds thing, even if it's a fun, unsanctioned comp. There's some
little
bit of friction with those kind of things too.
So you can't attend. For instance, I'm part of. Let's say I'm part of SA what. I want to attend a RPC meet, so I wouldn't be able to.
You wouldn't be able to compete. No, you can watch, I guess. You can't compete.
So you're paying all of that money not only to compete, but to be told where you can and cannot go.
Thanks. They're trying to make it, it's sanctioned, it's polished, it's prestigious. You get your SA colors, so they got that's gatekeep. They gotta gatekeep it only here, because if you lift an untested federation, then you're juicing and you must be banned.
It would be interesting to actually hear someone from them explain why is this these formalities?
You know, I should
Why?
actually get one of their higher ups maybe to
It
join
would be
in.
very interesting because
Although I already have a reputation for being biased against them, which I'm not really. It's just not my vibe. It's not my thing.
I just don't understand. It's not being biased, it's not understanding. Why am I paying this much only to be told that I can only use this equipment? And then again, I can't go to these competitions. And on top of that, I also have to pay an affiliation fee.
My understanding is IPF's entire goal is to get IPF into the Olympics. That's their entire goal right now. And if from my perspective, from the very outside looking in, I could have the situation completely wrong. I think the Olympics is just giving them the runaround. I don't think they're going to let them in anytime soon, but they're making them jump through all these hoops under the promise that eventually we will see you as worthy enough. But in the meantime, skateboarding and surfing, they're in. You guys
But
still need to do better.
you enjoy watching skateboarding. You can watch skateboarding and say them, oh, that's nice. Surfing, you're like, oh, powerlifting. Did you
There's
understand?
also there's also the rumor, not rumor, but like the general talk that if they did eventually get into the Olympics, it wouldn't be a 3 lift sport. They would make it a little bit more spectator friendly and do like a push pull and take squats out. Otherwise, it takes too long.
So
And in
let's
that
come back
case, to
again.
me, it's no longer powerlifting. Like
My point
no,
exactly.
it's those three are
We,
focal.
we're doing all of this, making this expensive, only to get it into the Olympics and for it to not be what it actually is.
Listen, I would love powerlifting to be in the Olympics. If they get this right, listen, more power to them. Fucking brilliant. I didn't think it could be that. I would be very happy to be proved wrong. However, do not think it's going to go that way in this foreseeable future. Maybe like 30 years from now, vibes.
We need to you need to get someone who's going to explain to us so we can understand. So we don't also judge. So we can look
Because
at
we are judging without all the information here. I'm willing to admit that.
so, but the question, Ed, the guy was asking which federation.
I think WPC, RPC are about even in terms of total amount of cash you would spend because their equipment specs are about the same. As long as the equipment you're using is to spec, the brand doesn't matter. WPC has a yearly, we said the name of it just now. What's it called? Affiliation fee.
Okay.
RPC does not.
Okay.
But WPC, if you break a world record or whatever it is, you don't have to pay an additional fee that's covered by everyone's affiliation fees. Whereas RPC, if you do want to break world records and stuff, you have to pay for that privilege. So they if you are someone who's eventually going to break world records and shit, it averages out to be about the same. But if you're not and you're just doing it for fun, I think RPC maybe edges out a little cheaper depending on which province you're competing at.
Basically, just go where your pocket
just
allows you
fun.
to.
Have fun. If you're a newbie, go where it's fun and convenient. Don't even stress about it.
100%. I'm with you on that one.
I find not that this person, I'm not accusing this person of that, but I find a lot of people overthink it in the beginning. Like, just go have fun, guy. Just like someone was asking me, like, am I strong enough to compete yet? And I was like, I didn't even ask him what his numbers are. I'm like, can you squat, bench, and deadlift 25 kilos? It was like, yeah, obviously. I'm like, you're strong enough to compete. Just go in. Just get in there, get your toes wet.
There's this wanting to come in and make a statement. I want to come in and win everything and be loved and be the new poster boy for powerlifting. Relax.
Like, you want the prestige day one. I'm like, I find no other sport is like that. I find no one's sitting there watching first team rugby players do their thing and be like, hey, I wanna try out for the first team. I've never played rugby a day in my life, but like,
yes,
right
that's
in
part
there.
of it.
Like,
And that's
start at the
powerlifting.
ground up, man. Get your toes wet, learn some skills, put some training
Mm-hmm.
under the belt. If you're good, you'll get to the first team, you'll get to the
Yes.
Springboks and shit. If you're not, you end up somewhere in the middle, you're still a decent power lifter. Like, what's this whole wanting
100%.
to be the best from day one?
It's weird. And I think also looking at what Carlton did, referring back to him, Carlton has competed and he was 17 when he started.
I think
He
from 2018, I think
Yeah,
he said somewhere about there.
last year's nationals, he totaled 960.
Hmm.
And then he had to pull out of what do you call this? Elite draw because he was sick.
Hmm.
And then he totaled this. Thing is, when he started, he totaled like eight something. Look at Nicholas. Nicholas totaled eight something, moved to 960, 960 again totaled, and then he did a 982 in sleeves, and then he did 1,000, 1,000. Kurt, what did he do at Elite Draw? He missed his deadlift. Before that, he totaled 910, and now he's 1,000 kilo lifter.
I fucking love how you have all these numbers memorized in your head. You're such a
I
scholar
don't
of the
know why.
sport.
It's weird. It's really weird. But my point is steps. You're not gonna jump in and total 1,000. You're not gonna jump in and total 900. We think that is fairly unrealistic. Overexposure, I guess, sometimes is what really alters our minds because we overexposed to this on Instagram and so forth. We see Jamal pulling 400 kilos weekly, and we think that's what you have to do all the time.
Yeah.
Until I'm there, I'm not going to compete. Jamal started somewhere. He used to pull. I'll send you this video of Jamal pulling it when he started. It's weird. He used to pull conventional that looked like it was like a hybrid between sumo and conventional. That's where he started. John Heck started somewhere. All of these guys we are now following, the greatest of all, they started somewhere. So progress.
My whole thing is like, join in, do your 200, 250 total, celebrate that as your starting point, get some training under the belt, go in, do your 300, 350 total, get some training on the belt. It makes for a fucking awesome story too. When it's like, listen, my first total ever was freaking 300. Now I'm totaling 800. How you like that, bitch? I deadlift what my total used to be. That's an awesome story. I don't understand why people want to start at the end of it. You literally want to start at the end.
That's, I think also, I need to also point this at me because I suffered from that a lot. I also wanted to start great. I wanted to come in and total 900 and then leave. And then come in and total 1,000 and then leave. Then I had to realize that, no, look, you started with the 870. Now let's go to the next step. Now let's go to the next step. As I said to you the other day, I have 5 good meets left in me. Of these 5, I know I'm going to have 5 bad ones. So I have 10 meets left in me. So I understand that it's going to take time. It took me a while to understand them, but I get where they're coming from. But at the same time, it's like, it's not necessary. You are depriving yourself of enjoying the sport, of enjoying being on the platform. This is part of the sport. Enjoying this is part of it.
To me, it's the only part of it. I mean, like,
exactly.
Unless you're Colton, Nicholas, or Kurt, totaling 1,000, getting invites to international meets where there is some kind of genuine prestige to it. Unless you're them, all the rest of us mere mortals, all we have is the fact that we enjoy what we're doing. Like, no one's paying me to do this. No one's giving me a shit ton of free supplements to do this. And even the free supplements are just so you can keep doing it. So if you're not having fun, what's the point of keep doing? The only thing you can actually get out of this is a sense of accomplishment and fun.
Yes.
That's it.
100%. 100%. We need to remember that. We need to remember it's good that it's becoming serious, but it shouldn't be all there is to it now is that I want to do this. And where's the fun in it? Where's the enjoyment? And I think that's why it's becoming such a tense and draining environment because everyone is just, I want to win. Yes, it's good to have that. Don't get me wrong. You want to be in a meet with people who want to win. You want to be in a meet with people. But at the same time, you want to be in the meet with people who are enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah. And there's a balance there.
You get what I'm saying? Because if I want to win, you want to win, but we enjoy this, I can help you in the meet. But if I want to win and you want to win and no one's enjoying this, I'm going to try and do something to sabotage you in the meet.
And now, if you beat me, I forever hate your guts now. Fuck you and
You
everything you've ever done in your life. And I'm like, the sport's too small, man. We're gonna run into each other at several of these meets. Like, let's get along. Let's have fun.
Ed, you and I, for instance, you out totaled me. I'm like, Ed, let's work. I should have been, I'm gonna show him. Yeah, I'm gonna show Ed. But I'm like, nah, you out totaled me. Let's work. Let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we do this because it's fun. We like it.
Yeah. I've been fortunate in the sense that I never saw myself ever being the best at this. Yeah, I always saw myself, listen, with enough hard work, I can be just above average. And I'm like, but I can have a shit ton of fun getting to just above average. So for me, it's always been like, I'm having fun, guy. When I come last, or I come third, or I win this one, it's like, did I achieve the target I wanted to? Yes or no? If it's yes, regardless of who kicked my ass that day, I literally don't care. I got the target I wanted. If I just missed my target, even if I came first, I'm like, yo, I won, but like, I wanted my 900. I got 885. So I'm like, it's close, but I'm not all the way satisfied. That isn't what I came here for. I had fun, so okay, cool, let's regroup and start again.
And then having fun brings you back to, okay, let's do this again. Let's start again.
Because, like, listen, like, this prep was anything but fun. Fuck me, this prep was the single worst prep I've ever had in my life. Dude, there were days where literally I would wake up and my first thought, I'm only training like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I wake up and my first thought is, fuck me, I don't want to squat today. Like, I just don't, not today.
It happens in prep. It happens in prep. And especially you were having back problems and all of that.
Hey, I'm getting fucking old, man. It happens sooner than you think.
That retirement is around the corner now. We don't have much time left, Ed.
We'll get there. Give me another two-ish years, I think. I hope. I have another 2 years in me. Maybe I can borrow another year. We'll see.
Nah. You have another 3 years, and you have to total 1,000 before you put up the belt.
That's the goal. And that's the thing also. If I total 1,000, I'm not Colton. I'm not Nicholas. I'm never gonna be like, okay, I did 1,000. Let's go 1,001. I'm like, I know when to bow out. Forget 1,000. I'm done. Happily, like happy as fuck too. I'm out. Thanks, guys. It's been fun. I might compete again. But I'm not redlining. I'm coming in. I'm like, oh, a young 930. That was fun. Just dip my toe in the water. We're chilled.
But that's a nice thing to have. It's a nice thing to have an end goal where you're like, okay, this is where I'm cutting it off. Because sometimes you see people who just keep going when it's like, okay, switch it off now. But they keep going like, okay, switch it off. They just keep going. Just keep going. Everything is falling apart. Everything is going wrong. Just switch that thing off. They just keep going.
Now, I don't think I'm genetically blessed enough to be 1,100. So to me, I'm not genetically blessed enough to be all-time world record holder. So I'm like, if I'm not going to achieve the next step past 1,000, 1,010, 1,020, it's like it's not going to mean much more past 1,000. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying.
Like the next goal is just too far out. So I'm like, it's okay. I've hit where I wanted to. I'm happy. Laid to bed.
I think moving from 1,000 was probably to 1,010. It's like moving from a 300 and then 340 to anything about 360 in a deadlift.
Yeah, like requires a lot more squeeze for very little.
You get what I'm saying? So moving from 1,000 to 1,010 must be exactly like that.
Like, oh man, because you're just there. I'm like, it's gonna take some effort.
You get what I'm saying? So It depends. Do you want to put that effort in for that extra 10 kilos?
It's nah, it's okay, eh? It's okay. But listen, it's not like 1,000 kilos is a steep ask to begin with. Let's not downplay what 1,000 kilos is. Like only three men in the country ever have gotten that. So it's not like that's not a lame goal either. So I'm like, it's like I want to be a billionaire. I don't care about being richest man in the world. And it's like very few people have gotten that to begin with. So like still a respectable target. So I might get it. I might not. I want to have as much fun as possible trying, but that's the goal.
I respect that. I respect that.
You will get it. I'm willing to bet cash on that.
That's a conversation for another day. This is not about me. Next question,
You humble motherfucker. Okay.